Hey guys, welcome to the Juked by Daylight podcast. This is our first episode. I am Mike, and I'm joined by my good friend Mitchell, and we are both DBD streamers and enthusiasts over on Twitch. I go by Oh My God, and my good friend Mitchell goes by The Blender. And this will be our podcast. So Mitchell's going to let you know now what we're going to be discussing today.
So today we are going over Q&A, news, character spotlight. It will all be in one segment because of the Q&A questions we got. It's going to be about the new stuff, new killer, new survivor, perks, add-ons, all the good stuff. After that we are going into some DBD guides, Shrine of Secrets, and we are going to end it on the streamer of the week.
Awesome, cool. What was the first question?
So the first question we got, DBD only has one game mode and customs. If you could design a new game mode, what would it be? So in my opinion, this is a very interesting one.
Okay.
Because I always say in my streams that behavior needs to make a 24/7 Baba game mode, because I love to go against Babas.
24/7 game mode.
Yeah, like that you just queue up and that you just know it's gonna be a Baba. Obviously there should be a couple rules like no map offerings, all that kind of stuff, like that he can't camp, things like that, like no Insidious and stuff like that. Like I know it's the biggest meme of Dead by Daylight, but obviously the needs need to be a little bit of balance, you know, like.
Okay, so he wouldn't be able to camp, and he wouldn't be able to be like basement Bubba. He'd have to play normally. Okay.
So he just needs to play like in a normal way, but
Survivor rulebook Bubba.
Yeah, that could be something. You know?
Okay.
Like a lot of survivors would be blown away by that, I think.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I only just saw this question, so just off the top of my head, my answer would be, for those who've played like Call of Duty, they'll probably get this reference quicker, but I think like a hardcore mode. So you don't have like access to certain things like medkits, toolboxes, like you go in bare bones and only like certain perks are allowed. So you can't get like the whole swift element where they're just trying to gen rush you or do anything like that. It's literally bare bones, trying to make the game scary again, where the survivors can't use like certain things. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah, so you kind of need to unlock things then, right? So like,
yeah, like a chest.
Chests in the game.
Yeah.
You need to open a chest, and then you can keep that item if you escape with it, of course.
Yeah, that's it. And like limit the perk usage. So like maybe make it a bit more tournament style. Like some tournaments don't allow you to use the same perk more than twice by survivor. So maybe have that element. So then not everyone's running dab hard, you know, unbreakable, adrenaline. Just really limit, make it proper hardcore, which hopefully will make the game a bit more scary, because it's probably one of the least scary horror games that's out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, like back in the day, it was kind of scary, but then also, yeah, like the game was new. People didn't know how to actually play it right, you know. So instead of everything evolving around chases, it was more you needed to hide from the killer. The game was darker as well, so like hiding was better than just running around the entire time. So that made sense back in the day, of course.
It's dark like a DC movie. They just turn the brightness down, try and make it scary, create atmosphere.
I miss the old times though, where it actually was dark and you had like the darkest moonlight offering. Like was amazing.
Oh yeah, you only see hackers with that now, right? Because I actually had a hacker that had that, and I'd never seen it before, and I was like, "What is this moonlight offering?"
Yeah, it was beautiful, dude. Back in the day.
Nice, that's cool. Okay, do we have another question?
Yes, we do, and that's also gonna be like the news section and also the spotlight section, because the question is, what do you all think about the new killer, the new survivor, perks, and add-ons?
Ooh, okay. That's a long
Yeah,
four-pronged.
that's a 4 questions into 1 question, so that's an interesting one.
Okay, that's cheeky. Should we break that down then? Should we do like part one of that question and answer that and then go? Would that be the easiest way to answer that fully?
Yeah, I think so. I think we should start with the survivor because killer has more things to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, do you want to start? What's your first impressions?
Well, he looks really badass, not gonna lie. Like, if I look at him, like, it just reminds me of like an Italian gangster. Like like those vibes I get from him, from Mr. What's his name?
I don't know what his surname is actually.
Vittorio Toscano.
Toscano. Okay. Yeah, he's got daddy vibes. Well, there's gonna be loads of simps, right? I think I'm seeing that already
probably.
on like Twitter and Instagram. They're simping over Vittorio, but he's a good looking dude. Actually, I think I might even look like him when I'm 45 and got fully grey hair. I think that could definitely be
Fully grey hair.
Yeah. I mean,
God.
I don't have any Italian in me, but I don't know. We got similarities, I think. But he's definitely a daddy.
Okay.
You're gonna get all the Feng Min Survivor mains, I think, sweating and simping. They're going to be clicking their flashlights. They're going to be teabagging next to him. They're going to want his attention. But yeah, we haven't played the PTB, so just for those people listening who probably want a bit more of a breakdown on what we think about them in terms of play style. Obviously, the Survivor is a reskin, as all Survivors are, so we can only really comment on how he looks. But the Knight, I've only seen people play him in the PTB. I haven't actually played him myself. And he looks like he's probably going to be like mid-tier, I would say. What do you reckon, Mitchell?
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't seen that much of him because normally I don't look into the new content yet because they always are going to change stuff from out of the PTB when it becomes live, you know. So they always switch things around, they nerf things, they change things, all that kind of good stuff, you know. But like for the small bits I saw, it's going to be an interesting killer because only one killer so far had NPCs, and that was Nemesis.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because he's got the guards or whatever they are.
This guy has 3 knights that do different things. They can do chases, they just make sure they break stuff or kick something. Like all those things. So it's definitely an interesting killer. I think he can be pretty strong. Like if you actually know how to play him, I think he can be really strong because he has, of course, help with his knights. So I think he has a lot of potential for sure. So like I think like low high tier, maybe high mid tier, like something like that.
Okay.
That's gonna be his spot in the tier list, I would say.
I think that looks pretty accurate to what I've seen. I think I've only watched like Ottstarver and Spooky Loops, I think, play him at the moment. Or maybe True Talent as well. But yeah, I think there seems to be a little bit of a learning curve. The overview on Dead by Daylight fandom has him down as a strategic killer, and he's able to send his faithful guards to hunt for survivors, damage objects on the battlefield as well. We're going to go into the perks in a little bit. That's another part of the question, right?
Yeah, like we need to answer still the perks, the add-ons of the killer.
Okay.
But yeah, you have obviously the perks of the survivor and the killer that we need to go over.
Should we do the killer ones first and then move on to the survivor?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So he's got 3, as they all do. Nowhere to Hide, Hex, Face the Darkness, and Hubris. So basically, all the perks sorted together appear to be revealing survivors, cursing survivors, and causing them to be exposed in some circumstances. So we're not going to bore you to death with the full breakdown. We'll save that for the Shrine of Secrets perk overview. But yeah, so nowhere to hide. Performing the damage generator action on a generator is going to trigger this perk. It basically means that the auras of all survivors within 24 meters of your position are revealed to you for 5 seconds at the top end. Obviously, these could all change because this is just PTB currently. But I think that perk might be quite useful, especially on some other killers, like maybe Nurse, for instance. That could be quite good. I can see that maybe being a bit strong, as the kids would say.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting perk. Like, the thing is, they always need to keep in mind that Nurse is in the game.
Yeah, they forget all the time, right?
That's they need to balance everything around Nurse, and that's kinda
It's difficult.
stupid in my opinion.
It's
But
difficult.
like, yeah, it's also difficult, but it's also stupid. Like, they can just change a couple things on Nurse, and like the balance in the game would be way better. But yeah, that's how I look at it. Like.
So maybe we just ignore Nurse for comparisons because everything's pretty strong on her, right? That's kind of how it is.
Yeah,
She's just abnormal.
probably.
Hex Face the Darkness. So a new Hex perk into DBD. We do love a good Hex. They get pretty much extinguished within 3 seconds of starting the game, but that's fine. Activates Cursing the Survivor. Okay, so this is once you injure a survivor. So it doesn't start off procced, which is interesting. You have to injure a survivor first, and then a dully on the map will then become this hex. All survivors see the aura of this cursed survivor for 8 seconds, and the survivors will scream intermittently if they are outside of the killer's terror radius, also revealing their auras for 2 seconds each time. That seems a little bit weird.
Yeah, like, it's like really confusing, honestly. Like,
yeah,
so
I don't see
you
why.
you have a hex perk,
Yeah,
and like everybody knows, like, except for Noed. Like, Noed is a exception of this, but every other hex perk you will automatically see in the game straight away. But for this one to be activated, or at least to see it in the game, you need to injure somebody. So yeah, it's a new twist in like the hex perks, I guess.
Yeah, I don't understand why the other survivors would need to see the aura of the cursed survivor. Why? How is that relevant? Like, that doesn't help anybody, I don't think. Unless, it doesn't really say, but does that mean that they can maybe get rid of the curse for you then? If they see that you're cursed? Like, I don't really understand.
Probably, but you also get like a little bit of information where the killer is, because the killer needs to injure the person. And then that person that's injured becomes the cursed person. So then you kind of know where the killer is on the map a bit. You know the hex is in play. You probably will get a notification that the hex face, the darkness, is in play at that point, I would assume. And then you can also look for like the totem.
Yeah, it seems like this perk helps survivors though, rather than the killer, in some instance there, because you're giving survivors info where you don't really want to.
Like in a weird way, yeah.
So it's like a 50-50.
If they are not in your terror radius, then like, honestly, I think this could be really strong on stealth killers.
Nurse.
No, on stealth killers. Because
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Like, just imagine that you play Jumpscare Myers, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't have a terror radius, so they will scream the entire time.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. That's crazy. Wait, so they're going to scream for 2 seconds and then scream for 2 seconds. They're going to be constantly screaming? That's fucked. That's not going to work, surely. That's so broken.
Wait. Like, they know where you are, but like, you just hit somebody and you just leave that person.
Yeah,
and then
hit and run.
You see the survivors 2 seconds each time. Like, I like.
Oh my god! Yeah, you're right. That's broken. That's not even gonna work.
And like Piggy, when she's crouched, she has no terror radius either.
Oh my god!
When in shroud, no terror radius. Raid when invisible, no terror radius. So
They're
That's
gonna
gonna
nerf
be
it.
interesting.
They're gonna nerf the shit out of it. There's no way. They haven't thought this through. That's ridiculous. There's people going to be running around the map screaming the entire time. The map's going to be awful. Imagine you're playing and all 4 of your team are just screaming constantly. How fucking annoying. Okay, yeah, that's a weird perk. They're probably going to nerf the crap out of that. Yeah,
Or they're gonna at least change something that's like
yeah, there's going to be a
with like
cooldown on the
stealth killers
screens or something, right?
Like
Yeah, that's really weird. Really weird. Okay. And the third and final one for the night, Hubris. Whenever you're stunned by a survivor, that survivor suffers from exposed status effect for up to 20 seconds. And then it has a cooldown of 20 seconds. I think this really is only going to be good if you're running like Spirit Fury Enduring, right?
yeah, I would say yeah.
And then you can maybe get an insta down on the last person to stun you once you've got that Spirit Fury up. So that's going to be probably like good for billies and stuff, I guess, who can't get their chainsaws off. They might be able to get, or maybe even a Myers. A Myers might be quite interesting with the enduring Spirit Fury build. You've seen a few of those, but yeah, that's very situational, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a situational perk, but I think still the like honestly, I think it's gonna be a decent perk, but yeah, you kind of need to experiment with like perks what you can use around it. Like for sure, Spirit Fury Enduring is gonna be a really good combination with Herbrus, but like I think it can still work because you get stunned by multiple things. Like a flashlight is also a stun.
Oh.
A flashbang is also a stun.
So is that going to work then?
It's also a stun. So I would assume that works with this perk because they all stun you. They also blind you, but it's also a stun because play with your food triggers on those things as well.
That's true. Yeah. So if it works on all of the above, then that actually could be really good. Especially if you had play with your food. I think
this can be a decent perk, like
because if you've got Nemesis, play with your food, they could be oblivious. You could maybe catch them if you had a stack or two, whereas you might not have done previously, right? So that 20 seconds actually, although it seems like a very small amount of time, depending on what else you're running and what character you are.
Yeah, but still, like it's 20 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So like you're being exposed for 20 seconds. If you run it the full timer and you stun him again, then you're exposed again because the cooldown of the perk is 20 seconds as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So every time you lose your exposed status effect,
yeah,
the cooldown is already over.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So you need to be careful. So like you can literally get exposed like multiple times in one chase if you play it right as a survivor.
What is the stun duration, say from like a pallet? How long is that? Do we know how many seconds that is?
I would say a couple seconds.
It's like 2 seconds. So then if you're running like brutal strength, it takes like another second or so to break the pallet. So you'd still have maybe like 16, 17 seconds left to try and pull off a hit. And if they've already wasted a ton of pallets in the game, and that's like the last one, there's a strong chance, especially if you were running something like play with your food, that you'd be able to catch up with them and punish them. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see that in action. I'm kind of interested about that.
At some point, like in the game, like you create dead zones as well. You know, like then if they are out of position or something, when they get stunned and or you get stunned and they are out of position, then like they can kind of be fucked. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to delve too deep into like the add-on sides, just because obviously it's still in the PTB, so it could get nerfed or buffed either way. So maybe we'll leave the add-ons for another time and just stick to the perks and that at the moment, as they're not like established characters. Does that make sense?
That's good. That's good.
Okay, cool. Shall we go on to the new survivor?
Yeah. So we have Vittorio Toscano.
You said that really nicely. I like that. You did well.
It's nice. I've been to Italy many times.
Oh yeah. Fluent. You're fluent in Italian. I gotcha. Do you want to do the perks for this one?
Yeah, sure. So we have potential energy, fog-wise, and quick gambit. So by the looks of it, every perk has something to do with generators.
Right.
Then you have potential energy. After repairing generators for 8 uninterrupted seconds, that's quite an important thing because otherwise it's not going to work. You will gain tokens, but and then you can transfer those tokens on other generators and like do the generators quickly and all the good stuff. Like it's literally a gen rush perk, but there's a downfall on it. When you get injured, you lose all your tokens.
Jesus.
So it's like high risk, high reward. Like if you risk it for the biscuit and you get a lot of tokens and you jump on another gen and like you hit your skill checks, then you get rid of all your tokens in that gen with a lot of progress. But if you have a lot of tokens and you get hit, you will lose all your tokens. So then you kinda don't use the perk efficiently in a way as well. So that's gonna be an interesting perk. Like that's gonna, I think we are gonna see that for sure.
That's going to be awful against legions. It's just going to get stabbed constantly, and you're going to be like, "Oh, I wanted to use my potential energy, but I'm mending 24/7, and
that's gonna be horrible.
that's going to suck." Okay.
So every time you have this perk on and you see a legion, then you already
Yeah.
can like see this perk not working.
It's not often that Legion gets like praise in that way, where like a perk would be completely useless against him. That's kind of nice for him, I guess. Legion mains will be like, fuck that perk," but yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah, everyone else will probably just be gem rushed, I guess. It depends. But, no, that's a kind of weird one. I instantly don't like it, if I'm honest. I instantly don't like it because no one's gonna remove Prove Thyself for this, are they? I don't think.
No, but they can stack it up. Like
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. Wait, would that give them more energy then, do you think? In their tokens? Does that give them more gen progress then? If they stacked up on Prove Thyself energy, I guess, if that's what we're calling it?
well, the thing is, like with this perk, if you like for every I think like what 1.5% progress you do on the gen, you get a token.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use proof thyself, the gem will go faster. So like it depends on how much percent you work on the gen, right?
Yeah.
So just if you just work for like 15% on the gen, that means you're gonna have 10 tokens. And there's a maximum of 20, I think. So like you can there's like a limit. Like prove thyself, there's no limit. Like if you work with 3 people on the gen, like the gen will just fly by and like you're as a killer, like you're just like, mate, what's happening right now in this game?
Do you
But
think
yeah,
we're
like,
going to see that then? We're going to see Prove Thyself and Potential Energy together? Potentially?
I would say yes.
Ooh,
I would say yes.
Interesting.
Or maybe even potential energy with stakeout hyper focus.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Those are all around based around like skill checks as well. So that could be a thing as well.
Okay. Potential new meta coming in there, maybe.
And then the next perk we have is Fogwise. Succeeding a great skill check while repairing a generator reveals the killer's aura for 6 seconds. That's interesting. That's like alert, but instead of that the killer needs to kick something, you need to do it yourself. You need to be successful on a great skill check, and then you get information of the killer. I would say this is not working against stealth killers because it's an aura reading, so like that never works on stealth killers. So I would say this is not that great against stealth killers, but like against every other killer, this could be really good. Like you can literally have information by just sitting on a gem. And if you are in a Swift, I think this perk is pretty strong, not gonna lie. Because, like, it's literally like object of obsession, but the killer doesn't have information on you.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like now we must nearly be at a point now where even just a duo of survivors could run the right perks and basically know where the killer is nearly the whole game, right? Unless they're a stealth killer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of insane, I think. But the perk on its own, in isolation, I don't think is like, bad or great. I think it's just okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a meta perk for sure, but like it's a decent perk. Like it's not terrible.
It's probably good for like more novice players that are coming to the game.
I think this is gonna be like an underrated perk, like alert.
Yeah.
Like alert is a pretty decent perk, but nobody uses it almost.
Yeah,
I think this is gonna be like in the same spot. Like it's a decent perk, but nobody is gonna use it on like.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's actually decent. Like it can give you a lot of information about the killer and where he is gonna be. Like if you get skill checks and you hit a great skill check, you see the killer for 6 seconds every single time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true actually.
So like it can help you.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get more value from this as well, because if you go against a killer who doesn't break anything, like they just leave pallets where they are. Maybe they've got like a Legion or a Wesker and they just vault in pallets. Alert might not give you that much value, but this, if you're good at hitting great skill checks, you're going to get quite a lot of value if you're just sitting on gens. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it could even be better than alert, maybe, depending on the scenario and the killer. But okay, interesting, cool.
And then we have Quick Gambit. Increases the repair speed of any other survivor by 8% while you are being chased within 24 meters of the generator they are currently repairing. So that's interesting. So you get like, normally you don't want to be chased like around the gen they are working on, but with this perk you want that, because then they get a buff working on that gen.
Oh dear, yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. Then you need to make important decisions as killer that you at some point don't want to chase this guy and want to pressure them on the gen, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that person is gonna jump on another gen. So like, it's gonna be interesting because you will not know as a killer they have this perk.
No, it's true. God, imagine if they had like overzealous, prove thyself, and this, and then with someone else on a gen, like say Shaq, and then there's someone else running round Shaq. I mean, Christ, the increase alone, that could be enough to pop a gen under killers' noses just as they sort of arrive. Like this could fuck Tinkerer over as well.
Yeah, like honestly, like I think because the gens are already a problem in this game, right? They bring 3 new gen perks in the game.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, this is kind of messed up.
I think they might have lost their minds a little bit here, but yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I think this is going to be a difficult meta for killers.
Yeah, it's very gen orientated.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
So I found some spicy guides, of course. Like I love those, reading them on Steam. Like you can literally find them on Steam with the guides. This one was actually posted on the 1st of September 2021. So we are going back in time. And to me, this was a pretty funny one with the title, How to Be Toxic. Do you want to be a toxic little gremlin that nobody likes? This is the right place. Step 1. We're going for the loadout. Alright, before you can start the match, you need to prepare if you want to become the filth that fills the community. Make sure your survivor is Nia. Equip a purple flashlight and a head-on field offering. For the perks, equip Death Heart, Decisive Strike, and any other top tier perks. Get ready to ruin one unlucky killer's day. Step 2. The game. You've loaded in. Here's the average game for toxic players. Number 1. Loop the killer for 5 gens. Number 2. Be sure to all teabag to assert your dominance. Very important. Number 3. Don't forget about the purple flashlight. Blind the killer every chance you have. Number 4. Flashlights can be used for more than stunning. Go to town clicking on it. Assert your dominance as any annoying flashlight clicker. Number 5. When the gates are open, wait for the killer and teabag. Number 6. If you're downed, DC and spam endgame chat with hateful comments. Number 7. If you escape, spam endgame chat with hateful comments. Step 3. And the final step, the afterwards, sell your soul to the devil.
So basically, be near, click your flashlight as much as possible, and try and annoy the killer as much as you can. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a good guide into being a so-called toxic survivor. I like that. That's good. So if anyone's new listening to this and you want to know how to be toxic, this is probably the best guide on how to do that. So do all of those things and try and piss off as many people as you can. I think there's one thing missing though that I would add on to that actually, and that is in the end game chat. No matter what happens, just type GG easy.
You could see that as a hateful comment though, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I just wanted it to be more specific. Because I don't think it matters if they escape. Even if they die, I think just to top off the toxicity, they should say GG easy. Even if they die. I don't think they need to just escape. I think dying would make it more toxic. I think that's cool. What's our next segment?
Our next segment is going to be the Shrine of Secrets. Every single week, the Shrine of Secrets is going to change. You will always have 4 perks in it. You can get them on both sides. Like you can get survivor perks, you can get killer perks out of them. But yeah, let's go over the 4 perks of this week. We have Blood Warden, Quick and Quiet, Urban Evasion, and Furtive Chase. So okay. So let's start with Blood Warden, right? So Blood Warden, really simple. The perk only activates in endgame. When the gate is open, it activates. But to get the full value out of it, you need to hook somebody when a gate is open, and then the entity will block the gate for 60 seconds. You will also see the auras of survivors that are inside of the exit gate permanently. Like even if it's not blocked, you will still see the auras of the survivors. Honestly, underrated perk. It's pretty decent. I would say like 7 out of 10. Like you can clutch up with end game if they don't really count it in that you have it. Like
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because they're not gonna know until it's too late, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like
there's no tell that you've got it.
It kind of depends on how you play. Like a lot of like top tier survivors, right? They have a lot of hours in the game. They know how the game works. They can base it on how you play that you can have Blood Warden. So they don't take the risk, or they like 99 the gate before they do something for maybe an end game save or whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, and that's a Freddy perk, right?
Yes, it's a Freddy perk.
Cool. Yeah, so it's basically, yeah, I think I agree with your score as well. It's definitely an end game build must if you're just running an end game build. I think it's, you have to have it in there with no ed and no way out. I think it's just a given. And even if you're not running an endgame build, I think just having Blood Warden in, like you see Coconut RTS all the time, he runs Blood Warden, right?
Yes.
With his Huntress, he loves that, and he gets a ton of value out of it. So I think it's just remembering it's there, and if you can get a hook, or even open the gate yourself once you've got it down, if you've got it down near enough, and procking it yourself, I think it's I think it's a great perk. What did you say? 7 out of 10 was right?
Yeah, 7 out of
Yeah.
10 for sure.
Yeah,
Like you can make something happen. Like what you say as well. Like you can open the gate yourself, and
Yeah.
then hook somebody on like the closest hook, and then you have like 60 extra seconds that the survivors can't escape, and then you can maybe push out like multiple kills with it as well. You know,
Yeah, I think people
like
sleep
the
on that.
survivors need to play like carefully at that point.
Because I think a lot of the time killers forget that they can open the gate themselves. I think they try and time it so that someone else has opened the gate, which, if you're going to play that way, you're not really going to get full value. So I think it's a case of knowing where your exit gates are and remembering that you yourself can open them if they haven't been opened already. So, yeah, very, very good, very good. 7 out of 10, yeah. 100% agree with you. So the second one in the shrine is Quick and Quiet. So that is a Meg Thomas perk. And basically, you just don't make as much noise as others when you're vaulting over obstacles or hiding in lockers. It suppresses both the loud noise notification and sound effects triggered if you rush through a window. So say if you're pairing it with Lithe and you vault quickly through a window, or even not, if you're not running anything and just this, it will hide that sound. So the killer might not be aware you vaulted because they're normally waiting for a noise notification, and it can help you get away. It's good for pallets or rushing to enter the lockers as well. So vaulting over windows and pallets, or if you want to quickly enter a locker, which me and Mitchell both utilize head on. We have a lot of fun with that perk,
Yes.
and this is kind of a given that you need to pair it with this if you're not running deception. So this can help you enter a locker stealthily, and then if you've timed it right and you've broken the line of sight while doing this, the killer probably won't know instantly that you've gone into the locker, and by the time they've realized, it's probably been 3 seconds, and then you can utilize a head-on stun. Or if you're trying to help out another teammate, say you're on comms, I think it's good that you can sort of be like, oh, I'm going to run into this locker, so when they run past, you can break that chase off with a nice timed head-on. So I think in terms of scoring, though, I don't know. I think it's probably... I think I'd probably give it a 7 as well, you know. I think it's a 7 out of 10 because a lot of the time you probably want to be pairing it with other things. I don't think you just want to be running on its own, unless you're just going for a pure stealth type build and you just don't want to be like found, because you can hide in lockers and that, but it normally needs to be paired really with something else to get like a full value. So as I said, Lithe for windows or head on if you're going to be jumping in lockers. So I think 7 out of 10. What would you say?
Yeah, I would agree on that because like I've been using it a lot lately with head-on. I also use it with light. Like it can help you a lot in chases. Like you can be stealthy into like that you stun the killer with head-on, or that the killers will always try to mind game certain loops like jungle gyms, like the shack, for example. They will try and mind game those loops, and if you can fast vault a window with lights and then you have quick and quiet, then you can just disappear. They obviously will see scratch marks, but like by the time they realize that you actually faulted and that you're gone, then like they need to start over again with chase. So like you can literally lose chase because of this perk with killers, and that's that's pretty decent. Like it's for sure an underrated perk. You don't see it that much. Like mostly of the time, when you see it, like you see it with head on, or you see it with light and dance with me, stuff like that. Uh, so yeah, I would say for sure 7 out of 10 rating there. Yeah.
And I think as well, for maybe any new players listening, if you're struggling with looping, what I did was I realized that I could utilize this with head-on. So because I wasn't very good at looping at the beginning, I'm still pretty trash, but I'm better than I was. I was using this as like my go-to in chase. So then I sort of started learning where lockers were, where I could break line of sight, jump into a locker, and then use a stun. And that way I was prolonging my chases whilst not actually being chased, if that makes sense. So I could initiate a chase, or if I started getting chased, I knew in the back of my mind I could hide in a locker and just extend that chase, therefore increasing my ability to be able to loop, even though I couldn't loop. So I think it's a good starter perk if you just want to do that. Or if we're going back to the DBD guide that we just covered, I think a lot of killers might consider it toxic, so you might want to add this into your clicky builds.
Yeah, that could be. Okay, so then next up we have Urban Evasion. Really easy perk. You walk faster when you're crouched, up to 100%. So normally when you casually walk, this perk just makes it that you can crouch and walk at the same speed. To me, like rating wise, I would say it's like a 3 out of 10. Like honestly, like it's a trash perk in my opinion. Like you don't see it often. Like when people use it, they try to be really stealthy. A lot of the times when they use it, like you see people use it at like the border of the map and stuff like that. Like in like the higher MMR, you don't see this perk. Like mostly like beginners use this perk because they wanna be sneaky, they wanna be stealthy. This is then one of the perks you can use for it, because obviously when you're crouched, you're smaller, so you can hide easier behind stuff and all those things. But yeah, like other than that, like I don't see that much useful in this perk. You know, like it's not that great in my opinion.
I think it's probably one of my favorite perks to meme around with. I think it's definitely a meme perk. But I don't know. Three out of 10. Ooh, that's really harsh. I think I'd agree with you unless you're going against like a huntress, because then I can see it being like a 4 out of 10. If you're behind like a short loop or something, you can move a little bit quicker, avoid some hatchets. But yeah, it pains me to give it such a low score because I love memeing about with Urban Evasion. Like, I am the Urban Evader. But it's, yeah, you are right. I mean, it's very circumstantial.
I see you use it a lot with Sprint Burst.
Yeah, that's normally the perk I would pair it with, just because I can't be using, what is it? Is it fixation? The one where you walk faster?
Fixated, yeah.
Fixated, yeah. I can't be walking faster and seeing my scratch marks. It just annoys me. And it's a lot funnier to crouch and move quickly. Like, I don't know. It's just a very memey perk. But yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I'd bump it up to a 4 out of 10 if you're against a huntress, because I think you can literally help you dodge some hatchets here and there. But yeah, 3 out of 10 is probably actually fair, even though I hate agreeing with that because I love the perk. So next then is, what is it? Furtive Chase? Is that how you say that? Or
Furtive Chase.
Furtive Chase. I've never seen that word before until this perk existed in the game, if I'm honest with you. But Furtive Chase. So that's a Ghostface perk. This one is, I don't know. I'll explain it and then we'll talk about it. So basically, you become obsessed with Unsurvivor, which you do in every game anyway. And according to this, you lurk in the shadows, eliminating your victims one by one. Each time you hook your obsession, you gain a token, up to a maximum of 4 tokens. Well, that's kind of obvious because there's only 4 survivors. And while in chase, your terror radius is reduced by 4 meters per token. So yeah, that can be, what, up to 16 meters you can reduce your terror radius by?
Yes.
My maths is correct, yeah. And when a survivor rescues the obsession from the hook, that survivor will become the new obsession. So a bit like Oblivious effect with Nemesis, you can change your obsession with this perk as well. But I would say Nemesis is probably the better perk if you want to be getting them values on play with your food, for instance. But yeah, this perk, honestly, I don't use it ever. I've only heard people say it's trash. It seems a bit trash because there's other perks that do these things better. Like if you're trying to hide your terror radius, most people will use monitor and abuse anyway. If they're trying to do that, and that's normally on like a Myers, right? They want to use a smaller terror radius. So yeah, I can't say I've used it more than probably twice trying to do Ghostface's Adept, which I still think I haven't done. So I'll probably have to do that at some point. But yeah, I don't see. It seems like you've got to do a lot, right? Like you got to hook people to get your terror radius reduced. Whereas like Tinkerer will do that for you without you getting a hook because people are going to do gens. I think there's just other things that you can use that are stronger than this. And I don't know. I think I would say this is worse than Urban Evasion. If I'm totally honest with you. I would probably give this a 2 out of 10. I'm going to be really harsh. I think it's a trash perk.
Well, honestly, if I need to give this a rating, I would say it's a 1 out of 10.
Ooh.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to give this perk to Ghostface. Ghostface can go in Shroud and then he doesn't have a terror radius. I know people can reveal you and at some point you will have a terror radius, but most of the time when that happens, you're in chase with the person.
That's true. Actually, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's no terror radius, right?
Then it doesn't matter because they know you're behind them. So they know you're in chase with them until you disappear and then like you just leave them. So then it doesn't, but then you go in your shroud again and then you go look for another survivor. But like you need to hook you need to hook your obsession 4 times to even get like the maximum potential out of this perk.
Yeah.
So
sucks. There's a lot you got to do.
Yeah, like it's not worth it to me at least. Like I think I used it once and it was just because of the Ghostface Adept.
Yeah.
And like that's it. Like maybe if there was like a challenge in the tomes that I used it, but other than that, no. Like never.
I'm trying to think of a killer that would be good with this, but I can't think of one, actually. Which killer would benefit from this? No one, right? Because there's other perks anyway out there to do a better job.
There are way better perks, like maybe like Baba or something, like to sneak up with your chainsaw closer, but like you can use add-ons for that. You have like Tinker, for example. Even though it's the nerfed version of Tinker, like the nerfed version of Tinker is still better than this.
But then I guess you could use like Hysteria, right? Make them oblivious, which is basically the same thing, and that just involves injuring people, right? So that's kind of that's a lot easier than this nonsense.
This is it's a really bad perk, sadly enough.
I think your 1 out of 10 was actually, although initially I thought that was harsh, I was trying to be a little bit nicer, but I think you're right. I think in terms of usefulness for any killer, it's trash, right? So we're going with 1. Yeah, I think I've changed my mind. I think I agree with you.
There's a reason you don't see this perk.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I might have seen it once, and that was, again, as you said, a Ghostface trying to do an Adept. So yeah, you're probably never going to see this. If you do see this and it's not a Ghostface, that person has no idea what they're doing. That's going to be a new killer, right? Unless someone in their chat and they're a Twitch streamer has requested this as like a meme build. Exactly. That's probably the only reason.
Like random perks build or something like that.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the final segment of today's episode is Streamer of the Week. Now, what we want to do is we want to be positive in the DBD community because there is a lot of negativity. And we want to just highlight streamers that we find when we're playing the game, either online or offline, that we come across that are really wholesome people. And we want to promote them as much as we can to try and give back to the decent streamers, the non-toxic streamers of DBD. So this one today is someone that I am subscribed to, and her name is Miss Jewel Threat. And yeah, she's just a really, really nice person. Like, one of the nicest streamers I've come across. She's part of the Kindness Collective, which I think will probably tell you exactly how nice she is. I believe that's like her org or squad name. So yeah, I would definitely go and check her out. But she's she's really wholesome. She does a lot of play with followers, which is really nice. It's a very engaging community. And yeah, she's been streaming for quite a while now, I believe. She's currently at 4.k followers. But yeah, her real name's Hannah. She's a full-time Dead by Daylight streamer. She promotes positivity, inclusivity, and wholesome gameplay. Her schedule currently is Tuesday, 3 p.m. CST, Wednesday, 3 p.m. CST, Thursday, 3 p.m. CST, and Sunday, 3 p.m. CST. So if that's not your time zone, work it out. I'm not going to work it out for you. But I would definitely go and check her out. She's really wholesome. And yeah, just a all-round nice streamer. She mainly plays Survivor from what I've seen, but I think that's because she plays with followers. I don't think I've seen her play as Killer. But yeah, she's just all-round. If you're just looking for a really positive experience, she's definitely a streamer that I would go and check out. And yeah, I think that probably just about covers the stream of the week. Again, you can go check her out. We'll put the link in the YouTube video. I don't know if we could do that for Spotify, but that's something that I'm definitely gonna need to check out. I'm quite new to Spotify in terms of uploading stuff, but yeah, please go and check her out, and obviously let her know that you heard about her here, and that'd be great. But yeah, I think that's probably covers it. You can see most of her stuff on her About Me page. And obviously, just jump in her stream. Honestly, that'll be the best learning curve for you. Will just be to see her live, because she's really entertaining, and she does a lot for her community. So yeah, that's our stream of the week, Miss Jewel Threat.
Thank you, Mike. That was really kind, really kind. A lot of kind words. And funny enough, I'm sub to her as well.
Ah, there you go. That's a testament. Then we're both sub to her.
Yeah, she's really nice. She's really wholesome. I've rated her a couple of times. Like, really a great community. Like, it's all around really, really good. Really, really wholesome.
And I think we've both played with her as well on stream, I believe. I know I have. I'm speaking for you here, but have you played with her?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't think so.
It's the different time zone, right? Because
yeah, it's the time zone. And like when most of the time when she's live, like or I'm streaming myself or I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
So like
yeah,
that's like the time zones can be difficult sometimes, but that's part of life.
Oh, and she's also got a YouTube channel as well, so everyone should definitely go and check that out and drop her a sub. Because at least on YouTube, your subs are free. You don't have to part with your hard-earned money. And obviously, if you want to follow her on Twitch, that's free as well. So I'd definitely recommend her, honestly. She's our first featured streamer of the week. We're going to try and promote as many wholesome streamers as we can throughout each episode. So it'll be one an episode, one a week. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our first ever episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. We do want feedback from everybody. We want to know what you'd like us to cover. If any of these bits you didn't feel like were of interest to you, please obviously let us know. We're still growing and adapting, and this is our first foray into the podcast world. So any feedback's good. Try and keep it constructive, though, so we can obviously amend accordingly. But yeah, we're going to try and release these one a week every Saturday. So yeah, it's a weekly thing. Please make sure you subscribe. Come and follow us on Twitch if you want to see us actually play the damn game. Mitchell is actually very, very good at the game. So if you want really good gameplay and analytics, I would go with Mitchell. And if you want just absolute random bullshit and nonsense, that's probably more my alley. But we do play together as well. So make sure you come check us both out. You can get both sides of the DBD spectrum. in terms of gameplay and entertainment. But yeah, we're going to try and churn these out at least one a week, I think, covering all the details that you heard today. And depending on the feedback, we'll try and probably add more stuff, or maybe even take some stuff away if it's not of interest. But yeah, that's all from me. You got anything, Mitchell?
Well, if you guys have questions, make sure to put them in the comments, because then we can also use those questions in our next podcast.
Yeah,
and we can answer them. It can be personal questions, it can be about the game, if you want our opinion on things that you walk into with Dead by Daylight. Like, throw it all in the comments. We will read them out. I will make notes of them, and we can go over them in the next podcast.
and just off of that, we will obviously shout you out as well. So thank you to Lost in DBD and Killer Black Lion for your questions today. And obviously, if anyone else has questions, we'll give you a shout out and we'll address your questions as well in the next episodes coming up. But apart from that, I think that's everything. Until next week, I think that'll be us signing off.
Yes. Have
Peace!
a blessed evening, everybody.